Here at Adventures with Time, I've been collecting watches for about 15 months, since October 2017. In the first video for my channel, I mentioned that one day I might have a collection worthy of doing a State of My Watch collection video. Well, here it is. And for each watch I discuss here, I have an entire video on my channel going through my thought process on selecting the watch and a review of the actual watch. I hope you enjoy. So let's take a look at the state of my watch collection as of the end of 2018. And by the way, I'll leave a card up here with a link to the episode where I talk about this watch case and the one I use to keep straps in. Now in here I keep all my watches except for one, which I'll talk about soon. And on this top row are watches that, although part of my collection, I don't really talk about much. These are ladies' watches that I inherited from relatives. Eventually I'll do something with it. There's a pocket watch here. Maybe I'll make an episode about the pocket watches I have later. And these two are the old watches I used to wear to work. They're both Seikos, and since I started collecting, I really don't use them anymore. The three watches I started or seeded my collection with, first is this Rolex Datejust. It's about a 30 1/3 millimeters wide, and I don't really wear it because it's a bit too small for me. The other one I rarely wear is this AT&T Service Anniversary watch. It's a Hamilton quartz, and you'll see it's got the AT&T symbol here called Golden Boy, sometimes called the Spirit of Communications. It's an actual statue that's kept in the AT&T buildings. The other watch I had in my possession before I started a watch collection is this Tiffany gold watch, rectangular watch. And as you can tell from the inscription on the back, it's from the early 1920s. Now it's got a couple of issues, as I mentioned in the original video. And my intention is to send it off to see what it would take to repair it and also try to figure out the value of this watch. But because of its condition and its value, I don't keep it in this standard watch box. The remaining watches are the ones that I purchased as part of building my watch collection. And we'll go through them in the order that I purchased them. And by the way, there is a video on my channel for each one of these watches. First up is the well-known Seiko Alpinist. You can see I've changed the strap from what it originally came on. This is a 38 millimeter watch. I also have the strap code Jubilee bracelet. This watch has been discontinued, I think around middle of 2018. So I'm glad to have this in my collection. My next purchase is this Seagull 1963 chronograph, also well known to collectors. It's a Chinese watch, also 38 millimeters, comes with a display back, and I decided to put it on this green and brown mixed canvas and leather strap. After my first two purchases, I decided to step up my game. I got a little more comfortable with watches. And I purchased this Squale 1521 TGV limited edition, in that it was designed in coordination with the Urban Gentry. It's a dive watch, so I decided to put it on a NATO with colors that coordinate well with the bezel. Now, as I said, this is a dive watch, resistant down to 500 meters, and that's well more than I'll ever go. But I enjoy wearing this watch, and I get a lot of compliments on it. Just about the time I received my squale, I was about to leave on a Caribbean cruise, and I wanted to bring a dive watch, but didn't feel comfortable bringing a brand new, higher valued watch. So I decided to order a less expensive Seiko diver. And this is what I ended up with. It's the Seiko Samurais, model number SRPB 55. It's a dive watch, PVD coated, nice waffle pattern dial, rated down to 200 meters. It came on a rubber strap, which quickly started to disintegrate. You'll see it in the video if you watch that on this watch. So I bought this nicer rubber or silicone strap, which is really comfortable. I call this my beater watch because it's tougher watch than most others, very bulky, and even if you get some scratches or worn areas on this case, the PVD coating, it'll just add character to the watch. By this time, I was really into watch collecting and decided that my next watch was going to be a Flieger. After looking around a bit, I ended up with the very popular Sin 104, and I bought it on this H-Link bracelet. And I think to this date, this is perhaps my favorite watch to wear. I just love the starkness of the black dial and white markings and the stainless steel polished edges. I think it just stands out really nice, and it fits me really well. I wear this watch as much as I can. After buying the Sin, I started to look for something a bit different. Perhaps a watch from a location that you don't normally think about watches. And I ended up buying the Russian Vostok Cam Adamski, a fairly inexpensive watch. I think it was only about $75, including shipping. People either like these or think they're junk. So far, it's been pretty good for me. I wear it in rotation and really accept it for what it is. Feeling fairly confident in the selections I've made to date, I decided to go outside of what I normally would buy. I never wanted a quartz watch, but after looking at several videos, I decided to buy a GShock. And if we were going to go for a GShock, I wanted one with a lot of features. So I went for this Golfmaster. It's quite a large watch. I think it's 55 millimeters and has a lot of sensors: barometric pressure, temperature, altitude, etc. But I must say that after wearing it for a while, I decided that it just doesn't hold the appeal for me. Now, I know a lot of people love these watches, have collections of different G-Shocks in different styles, but I've decided that they're just not for me and don't fit into my collecting goals. So I'll probably sell this watch off. After the G-Shock, I decided to go back to a watch that was more in line with my collecting goals and look for a watch that came from a country that I didn't have in my collection already, and one that also had a new complication. And I ended up with the Christopher Ward C60 Trident GMT watch. This watch has this third GMT hand, as well as a bezel so that you can actually track 3 different time zones. It is also water resistant, and the bezel can be used to time dives. Although it looks similar to my Sin, I enjoy wearing this just as much. At this point in time, which is about the middle of the summer of 2018, my wife found this Hamilton cushion watch that belonged to her father, and it was in fairly terrible condition. It was missing a hand, missing the crystal, and was quite nicked up. So I sent it off to have it refurbished, and this is what came back. and she really enjoys having this watch from her father. She wears it on the original strap, even though the strap, as you can tell, has got some problems. Earlier in the year, I had been looking at ball watches and had decided to take advantage of their pre-issue price for this 135th anniversary watch. It's called the Ball Trainmaster Standard Time 135th Anniversary. And it's a watch that for me is very reminiscent of the clocks in the center of train stations. In fact, I was in Grand Central Station in New York a few weeks ago, and this watch really reminded me of that clock. It's got a display back, a nice stainless steel bracelet with what looks like railroad track design, and it's got those tritium tubes. And watch my video and you'll see how these light up. Coming into the home stretch of the year, I went to the Worn and Wound wind-up show in New York City and saw a lot of vendors. And one of them really impressed me, and that was Zelos. And after the show, I ordered their new Zelos swordfish. This is a dive watch, and what I really liked about it is the way the dial is made with a front plate and a deeper back plate. And that's also how the loom works. You can see the loom on the video in my channel. It's got a nice swordfish impression on the back. Comes on a very nice bracelet, which a lot of people say is reminiscent of fish scales. Even though I had my Sin 104, technically a Flieger, I wanted a Flieger in the classic style from the 1940s, and one that was made by one of the original 5 makers of these watches. And after searching around, looking what was available, I ended up with the Stoah Classic 40 millimeter with the Type B dial, with the minute track on the outside and an inner ring for the hour marks. Came on this nice leather strap with the classic riveted connections. It also has a display back, and on the rotor is specifications that match the numbers of the original watches. Well, I still had energy in the year to buy one more watch. And the watch I selected was this Melbourne Port See, a watch from Australia with a triple date complication. It's got the day on the left here in a subdial, the month in a subdial on the right, and the date down here in a window at the bottom. And it's got this ceramic dial base and this nice nautical impression on the back. I've been looking at getting a couple other straps for it to sort of dress it down and make it a little more nautical looking. So that's the state of my watch collection as of the end of 2018. I don't know where I'll go next, but I'm sure there are a lot of watches in my future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see where I go in 2019. And as always, please leave your comments below so that we can share our experiences in this great hobby.